Could you fall in love with someone 43 years older than you? At first, it sounds like a headline from a tabloid, but this isn't fiction. It's the real love story of Imanii, a 34-year-old woman who found her soulmate, not in someone her age, but in a 77-year-old man named Larry. Most people scoffed. Some judged. Others whispered she must be after his money. But what if the truth is deeper and more beautiful than anyone expected? If you've ever loved someone society said you shouldn't, if you've ever been told you're too old, too different, or that it's too late to find real love, then this story will speak to you, because what you're about to see isn't just about romance. It's about defying judgment, embracing connection, and choosing love on your own terms. Let's dive into this unexpected relationship and the powerful lessons it holds for anyone who's ever dared to follow their heart, no matter what the world thinks. When Imanii first met Larry online, she didn't see a 77-year-old man. She saw curiosity, wit, the sparkle of someone who had lived a life worth listening to. Sure, it was his silver hair that first caught her attention, but what made her stay was how he made her feel seen, heard, not just as a younger woman, but as an equal. You'd think the years between them would create distance, but in truth, it brought them closer. Their connection wasn't built on shared pop culture references or the same generation. It was built on conversation that never ran dry, on dancing together just because, and on laughter that sounded the same no matter what decade they were. Born in, she once said, there's never a dull moment with him. And he often marveled at how deeply she grasped the topics they discussed, how she didn't just listen, she challenged, expanded, and taught him too. In a world obsessed with similarity and surface-level compatibility, these two built something deeper, something that lived beyond age, and instead lived inside shared wonder, respect, and joy. This kind of love isn't about finding someone who fits into your expected timeline. It's about meeting someone who fits into your spirit. Because when you stop measuring love by years, you start discovering how infinite it can really feel. Imanii never romanticized her relationship with Larry. She didn't sugarcoat the truth or pretend love alone would silence the clock. She admitted openly she thinks about his health. She thinks about what tomorrow might bring, next year or 10 years from now. Not because she's afraid of love ending, but because she understands how precious it is. Instead of avoiding the uncomfortable, they talk. They talk about aging, about illness, about what it would mean if one of them couldn't keep up anymore. They even talk gently but honestly about the possibility of goodbye, and strangely, that honesty doesn't make their bond feel weaker. It makes it stronger. There's something sacred about being with someone who doesn't hide the hard parts. Larry never shied away from the what-ifs. Instead, he welcomed them, because to him, loving someone fully means trusting them with the full picture, not just the joy, but the fragility. And in return, Imanii felt something rare, a sense of peace, not fear. That's the quiet power of truth in love. When you stop pretending that everything will last forever, you begin to cherish the moments that do. You take nothing for granted. You speak softer, listen deeper, and hold each other just a little tighter. Real love doesn't run from the unknown. It holds your hand and walks straight into it, with eyes wide open and hearts even wider. From the outside, their love drew stares, and not the kind that say, "How sweet." People called her a gold digger. Some mocked him as a sugar daddy. One comment online even asked, "So, do you make daddy a sandwich?" It would have been easy to get angry, easy to second-guess, to feel embarrassed, or to try to prove something. But Imanii and Larry chose a different path. They chose to stand tall, to stay close, and to let the world say what it would. Because when love is real, it doesn't ask for permission or approval. Larry once said, "Yes, people judge us," but that judgment made us stronger. It sharpened our communication, deepened our understanding, and reminded us who we're really doing this for, each other. And Imanii, She meets the sideways glances with a calm smile, sometimes even a wink. "Let them wonder," she says. "I know exactly why I'm here. The world will always have opinions, and when something doesn't fit the usual mold, especially a love story like theirs, it makes people uncomfortable. But love doesn't have to explain itself to strangers. It just has to be honest, steady, and rooted in truth. Because once you know why you love someone, the noise around you fades into silence, and what's left is peace." At first glance, you might wonder how two people, decades apart in age, even begin to speak the same language. But sit with them for 5 minutes, and the answer is clear. They don't talk to compete, they talk to connect. Larry is the one who speaks with stories, reflections, a life's worth of wisdom poured into every sentence. Imanii, on the other hand, listens with presence, then responds with depth. There's no shouting match, no sharp words thrown just to win an argument. What they have is rare, respectful dialogue, even in disagreement. She once shared, "Even when we don't see eye to eye, we never tear each other down." That says more about their love than any romantic gesture ever could, because in a world full of rushed conversations and constant distractions, being heard, truly heard, is a gift. And knowing your voice will be met with care, not criticism, builds a trust that's hard to shake. This is what makes their relationship feel solid. They don't read between the lines or play guessing games. They simply speak. And more importantly, they listen. Not to respond, but to understand. Good communication isn't just about saying the right thing. It's about knowing when to pause, when to breathe, and when to let silence do the talking. That's what builds bridges between generations and hearts. When Imanii talks about Larry, it's not with the giddy thrill of a new crush. It's with the steady reverence of someone who's been transformed. "He's changed my life," she says, "spiritually, emotionally, financially, and in ways I never even expected. I've become the woman I always dreamed I could be." That's the kind of love that doesn't confine. It expands. Larry never tried to mold her into a version that fit his world. Instead, he created space for her to blossom. He didn't just love her for who she was. He loved her in a way that allowed her to become more. Imanii had spent years being misunderstood, underestimated, or expected to shrink herself to be accepted. But with Larry, she grew. Not because he rescued her, but because he saw her, encouraged her, gave her room to stretch, to speak, to rise. That's what love is supposed to do. The truth is, the right partner won't ask you to dim your light. They'll hand you the matches and say, "Shine." And as you do, they'll stand beside you. Not in front, not behind, but right there, cheering, supporting, growing alongside you. A good relationship isn't where you lose yourself to be loved. It's where you finally feel free enough to be everything you are, and more. Real love doesn't follow a formula. It doesn't ask you to be the right age, fit someone's checklist, or get everyone's approval. It just asks one thing, that two people choose each other every single day. If you've ever loved the wrong person, if you've ever doubted yourself because the world told you your love didn't look right, please hear this. You're not too much. You're not too different. You just haven't met the one who sees you and says, "Exactly like that." Don't change a thing. Imanii and Larry might seem unlikely, but their story reminds us of something powerful. Love doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. It just needs to be real and brave and yours. Have you ever been judged for loving outside the box? Share your story in the comments. Someone out there might need to know they're not alone. And if stories like this speak to your heart, hit that follow button. Because here we believe love, real love, is still out there. And it's worth every second